Giancarlo's here in the hot seat, and he played Blake Lewis in The Morning of. First question is, how did you get into your character? And you had the main role, so you really had to actually become Blake. And you were talking about that before the film. You're like, don't even call me Giancarlo anymore. I'm Blake now.
Yeah, that's another thing you got to do while you're. Andrew and Johnny actually covered a lot of aspects that involve getting into character, but one of the things that I like to do when getting into character, like you got to be somewhat, you got to interact with the people around you, but sometimes you just got to get secluded. You got to actually talk. Like, it's gonna sound weird, but you got to talk to yourself. You got to get into character. You got to be like, okay, I'm not Giancarlo anymore. I'm Blake, right? I'm not Andrew anymore. I'm Vincent. I'm not Jonathan anymore. I'm Mike, right? You gotta get into character, and you gotta know your lines. You can't just say your lines. You can't just be like, it's a nice day outside. No, you gotta actually, if I'm supposed to be sad, I gotta be sad. I can't just say that line, right? You gotta be into character, know your character. That's the biggest thing.
Okay. What was the most difficult part about playing Blake? And what about his personality and
the
character?
fact that he was in every scene, that was probably pretty difficult.
Difficult.
Another thing would be that, I don't know why, I kind of perceive Blake as myself as sort of like a pussy. I don't know, softy kind of.
Also kind of like
pushover. Anyways, yeah. So I perceived Blake as someone that's a pushover, a softy, someone that gets like pushed around a lot, and he's very vulnerable. That's how I pictured him in this film. That's how I acted him as. I don't know if you read the script, if you saw something different, I don't know, but as my own self, I perceive Blake as that. So it was difficult to try and, I would always have to cry, or I would always have to be like upset, and it's hard to get in. That's probably one of the hardest things to act, is to be upset.
'Cause he was a bitch.
That's probably one of the hardest things to act, is sad or emotional.
Yeah, talk about that actually. How did you do that?
That's a good question. When I act, and I have to do something emotional, and this isn't the first time I did it in Insanities 2 as well, you would have to cry, right? And that's a thing for actors, is it's hard to cry. That's probably the hardest thing. That's the thing you learn in acting school, and any school that you go to. That's a thing that they touch up on, is how to cry, and I'm not really sure how. So what we did was we basically put soap in my eyes to make me cry.
I don't know why that's funny.
It is that actually brought a lot of emotion out, because the pain sensation that I had, it was, I remember, and it wasn't the first time. I've done it multiple times, and throughout the morning throughout the morning of, I have done it at least 4 times. I can remember.
Like that,
yeah, you could probably don't. I don't recommend doing that at home. I don't recommend that to any actors.
He's still working on doing it now.
I'm still trying to perfect it. I don't even know if I'm using safe dosages or anything. I don't recommend it for anybody. Like, different ways to cry. We've tried a lot of ways to cry.
A good one is fan your eyes.
That's another thing. We tried opening your eyes and fanning them, but it doesn't give. I didn't find that it helped me.
You have to work.
We also tried
naturally.
Yeah, we also tried opening hot pepper and, like, not putting it in your eyes, but like,
because that can make you
like
blind.
fanning that
in your eyes,
and that didn't help. It was painful too, and didn't even make me cry. So we found that soap was the best alternative for a quick and easy way to cry, and I found that to be very...
And permanent blindness, but continue.
I found that to be very difficult because it was painful, but it worked. It created an immense amount of tears, and you could actually wipe some off and then start a clean slate when you start filming. And it could possibly do some... I didn't do my research. It could possibly do some damage to my eyes, but the best way is the natural way. And that's something that I have to work on as an actor, is I gotta naturally cry. But I don't think I'd be able to naturally cry as much as I did in The Morning of. Like, that was a lot of crying, a lot of emotion. That's one thing I would like to work on. That was the hardest part about being Blake.
How does it feel to act with some of your best friends and have to be in, like, kind of basically fake relationships with them, and how does it affect your performance, stuff like that?
Well, MJ Films is a best friend based company. We've known each other, all of us, since like elementary school. Like, we're in high school now, and none of us met in high school. We just straight from elementary school. Me, you, Matthew,
Well,
Jonathan, Marcel. We met
Yeah, Marcel.
He's the
Andrew.
exception.
Even behind the scenes, Anth, JP, Adam, everybody that was behind the scenes. We have a close.
Isabella even.
Isabella too. We all have a close
Connection.
Like it's not even distant. It's not even close to distant. I mean, when James was actually supposed to be another character in our film, but didn't end up showing up to any of the film shoots, so we had to cut him out. But personally, I think I would have a rougher time acting with him because I didn't really know him. But then again, acting with Andrew, for example, me and him, we had a hard relationship in the morning of. Basically, we had to hate each other, right? I had to act like I didn't even know him.
Exactly. So that's the thing. If
You have to act.
You think that if James, like someone you didn't know played that character, it would be easier?
It would be easier. I think it'd be easier for all you actors out there
Because you don't have to fake that, right?
You don't have to fake
You would
that.
actually not know who they are.
Exactly. You would. It would be somewhat real emotion, right? You still gotta act, but it's somewhat real emotion because you're acting to someone you don't really know. But then again, that comfort level. How comfortable am I crying in front of someone that I don't know, as opposed to someone that I do know? It's all about your comfort level. Whatever you guys like better, it's up to you. It's if you like acting to someone you don't know, then talk to your director. You can get actors that are new, right? Haven't really acted with you before. And I find that acting and a friendship is totally different things. Because when Joe first started out as an actor, I found it harder to act with Joe because I've never acted with him before. But now it's easy now, right?
Yeah.
But like even if you're best friends, like I've been friends with Joe for a while. And that Joe is just an example, but even if you know the person, if you're just starting out acting with them, it's a totally different lifestyle. So, being friends with somebody has its positives and it has its benefits.
What do you think was the most fun about playing Blake, and what scene do you think you had the most fun shooting?
Oh man, the fact that I was in all of them. Well, the most fun about Blake, actually, I don't know why I'm complaining that I was in all of them. I think it was a very, very good experience just for myself. And for Nick, because me and you had the most part in the morning of, we were always there. Every film day was most likely me and Nick. So I think I got to grow more as an actor, being first time directing with you, or being directed by you.
I know more about how Giancarlo acts now.
I know more about how Nicholas. Like I've learned more about everybody from this film, but if I had to say, I've learned the most about you, because we every morning in the summer we would wake up. That even when we weren't filming, oh man, we fought. That's the thing though. We fought, we laughed, we went through like this whole summer. Every day, even when we weren't filming, was always something new, and it was always different. It was always something to do with the morning of. Now that it's over, I feel empty because we're not doing anything. But we have lots coming.
Yeah.
Anyways, to get back on topic, I found that it was a fun journey being in almost all the scenes, and one of my favorite scenes.
Don't mind me, I'm just getting naked.
I love you so much. One of my favorite scenes to film. It's hard to say.
What was your favorite scene to film, like to be on there on set, and what was your favorite scene?
Favorite scene in the movie?
Yeah.
There's two. I like the fight that I did with Johnny because I absolutely epic the way it matches up with the music, and the last scene, the end, the last scene.
Yes.
Actually, I think that was also my favorite scene to film too because it was not too many people, and it's kind of like the end of the movie, and I got to really display what I really wanted for the end of the movie. I know in my head I was like, okay, this is gonna be the end of the movie. I'm gonna act the shit out of this scene, right? So I think that was one of my favorite scenes to watch and to film in. The last scene.
How often do you improve and experiment with your lines, and do you ever do improv, or do you try to stay away from it?
Oh man.
Kind of stuff like that. Stop dealing with.
I was co-writer. Well, you could say I was co-writer. Nick wrote the script, but I was there while he wrote it. So I helped him create the lines. I helped you create the lines. I don't know why I'm talking in third person. I helped you create the lines. So it wasn't hard for me to stay on this script. On this script, I knew other people's lines, right? I know a lot of other people's lines. So for this movie, I think I stayed relatively close to my lines, and I think I stayed relatively strong when it came to improv and whatever. But in other films, let's say I was going to a script that I didn't write or didn't help write, and I didn't really know,
Which you're gonna be doing soon.
which will happen soon, of course. I think improv is actually a really good. If you know the story, improv it away. But remember what you said. Always remember what you said. You can't change it up for every shot. Don't improv every shot. That's just silly. But improv is a good way of growing as an actor, because if you could stick to the story and change the dialogue on your own and make it make sense, then you've just improved the story, and you've just
And when you do improv, it's like more natural too, right? 'Cause you don't
yeah,
have to
it's
think
exactly.
about it.
You don't have to think about it. Improv, you have to be careful though, because then you start getting straight off
Yeah, 'cause then
path.
if you do something if you say something that wasn't in there and you start
Then
creating holes in the story and stuff
You
like
can't.
that.
Yeah, you have to be careful with improv, but at the same time, it's good. So again, there's benefits, and then there's cons. But improv it's all based on the actor, and as a director, I think not me as a director, but if you're directing out there, if you see your actors straying too far away, stop the film. Like, just cut and say, listen, I love your improv, doing a great job. Because as an actor, that's what you have to hear. You have to hear that you're doing a great job, especially when it comes to improv. But refrain from saying this. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. All right. And also, how many times did you read the script and stuff like that?
Like I said, for this film, I've practically wrote the script. So
Yeah, you did.
it would, before a scene, I would skim
Like in the
through
final script, did you ever just kind of at night by yourself just read over the script and just kind of think about it?
I wouldn't say at night. I don't find the best solution is I don't like reading I don't like reading in general. I don't like reading before I go to bed. I think I would wake up in the morning and just before I did my actor's log, I would skim through the dialogue.
Yeah. Having the film being completely finished, is there anything you would change about your performance as Blake? Anything you would do differently to improve the film?
My performance as Blake, in terms of my performance, I would probably cry less. I think I cried a little bit too much. I don't know. It's my opinion. Also, on set, while I'm acting, my dialogue, I think there was not really much I would change. Too much. I think the story went along perfectly. I think it came across very well. I think that everything went exactly as planned as
In a way.
In a way, in the movie, I think it went exactly as planned. My character came out exactly as planned. But I don't know if you asked this, but offset, I would change a lot. Like, definitely.
Yeah, you talk about that too.
Yeah, more organized for sure. And I think that out of everybody, it's a point where there's too much slacking off going on, and a majority of it comes from the actors, because the behind the scenes crew is not going to slack off as much as the actors, because the actors, it's a different stance. It's a different stance point.
Yeah, right. Because the behind the scenes has we end up moving it. Because when we finish the shot, we're not done with the work, right? We have to move the lights, and then we have to set up the mic. We have to talk about where the shot's gonna be.
So the behind the scenes is always doing something.
Yeah, exactly.
They're always on task doing something, and the only time they have free is during the filming, other than the cameramen, and they can't really screw around during the filming because they can't make noise. But I think the actors have more of an opportunity to screw around, and I think that's a mistake that we make, especially me, is that we screw around a little bit too much, and we don't take enough seriously. But I think that's all part of being an independent filmmaker at 17 years old. How much time again?
It's like 15 minutes almost.
Okay.
As an independent filmmaker, you have to slack off sometimes, and you have to be fun.
Yeah.
But you can't slack off too much, right? You can't. And see, that's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. You gotta have some of those. You can't be totally professional all the time. But I would say I would slack off a lot less. I would stop getting. That's one of the main reasons we got into fights, is because I was slacking off. It's mostly.
Okay. I have a good one. Did filming the scenes out of order affect your performance at all?
Lord. Of course it's gonna affect everybody. Filming out of order. Usually, a film is supposed to be filmed in order. A film is supposed to be filmed in order. That's how it makes sense, and that's how, as an actor,
That's how it makes sense, but it's not often done like that.
yes, it's no, of course not. Other movies, even professional movies,
Yeah.
don't do that. But as an actor, it's hard because if you're going in order, it's easier because you know what happened previously. But like we filmed the Isabella scene
Which, yes.
First.
Scene, I can't remember what scene.
It was
Scene.
one of the first. It was one of the first.
It was the
days.
first
It was
day.
the first day.
Yeah.
Scene 20-something, 28.
25.
25. Scene 25, one of the first days. And that's another thing I regret, is that I didn't have enough emotion when she walked in. That's what I figured out at the end. But that's because that was the first day we filmed.
Yes,
I didn't really know how to act.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wait, how should I feel? I'm gonna feel this way. But I wish I put a lot more emotion to that scene, but that's because we filmed that scene first, that it screws everything up. If
Yeah.
you film out of order, it doesn't screw, you could do it.
Something with that is I think you need to really read what happens
Yeah.
before that to make sure you
Exactly.
know where your character's at.
As an actor, you need to know what's going on, because if you're not going in order, you better act like you are going in order. And I think that's all I could say.
Is there anything you would change or do differently about the whole process of the morning of pre-production,
Music,
shooting, or
yeah.
even editing, anything like that?
Oh, for sure, I'd finish all the film in the summer, and that's I think we could have actually filmed. Oh, yeah, I have something else to say after, but filming. Definitely, I wish we could have finished in the summer. It's not entirely our fault because people couldn't show up. Summer school, and because we're 17 years old. Summer school, work, family, stuff like that prevented us from filming in the summer, and that was a large portion of. It took a long time to film, but mainly the editing. God, like I was telling Nick and like we said to Saka, we were supposed to finish the editing multiple days. I think we had five days,
We had like
five
days.
deadlines that we passed and weren't finished editing. And I think that towards the end of the film, in early fall September-ish, we weren't taking it as seriously as we thought. We didn't know it was creeping up on us, and we didn't even know it. And there were so many days where we could have actually edited a lot, but we kind of dicked around and we didn't.
Yeah.
Right? We just edited a small portion where at the end we were rushing to get it out. We were rushing and we were editing insane amounts of the movie at the end when we really could have done that before,
Yeah,
but we
we could've
didn't
spread
because
it
we
over
just
a
kept
span of time.
in our head. We weren't thinking that it's coming around the corner.
Don't procrastinate, kids.
That's it. Don't procrastinate. That's what I would have changed about Morning of.
Is that a wrap?
All right.
That's a wrap.
Yeah, I think that's about it.
I had a wrap when I'm doing films. You kidding? We barely just.
We
You
just
guys,
getting started.
just one more thing. We just turned the key in the ignition. We haven't even started driving yet. So keep watching us, and we're gonna have some good stuff coming out, especially with him.
Like film festival stuff.
And I'm a horse.
Film festival worthy stuff.
Film
and
festival.
stuff coming from film festivals.
And probably a new camera and some new.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for
definitely.
sure,
new
for sure.
shit.
New camera, for sure.
And just take a look out. Ooh.
Sure.
Take a look at my cover songs.